All right, perfect. We can get started. Welcome, everyone. All right, so today we are going to talk about the intersection between emotional regulation, video game play, and then those healthy habits for home, those healthy habits so that your child feels good as they play their games, they transition off in a way that works for both of you. And we're really paying attention to sort of the structure that works on all sides. This is a collaborative presentation between our company, MyDear, and then Healthy Gamer. So my name is Jessica Ragno. I'm a clinical social worker, the associate clinical director at MyDear, and then I imagine most families here are MyDear families. So you already know that MyDear is a biofeedback video game that helps kids build emotional regulation skills through play, but we do a lot of other non-screen based activities, games that hone in on emotional regulation learning, emotional awareness building blocks, but all through this game-based approach, play-based approach. And today I have Hannah from Healthy Gamer. Hannah, if you want to give a quick introduction about yourself and Healthy Gamer.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Hannah. I'm the Strategic Partnerships Manager for Healthy Gamer, and I'm very delighted to speak with you today. I'm a little bit about me. I'm classically trained as a pharmacist, and at Healthy Gamer, I've run all of our parent programs from the ground up to help parents build an alliance, communicate with, deal with resistance, and set healthy boundaries with their gamers. A little bit about Healthy Gamer is we're a mental health company helping the internet generation with all these new modern health stressors regarding technology and mental health. And specifically for parents, we recognize the importance of addressing parental concerns around video gaming habits. And our mission is to provide resources, guidance, support to families so that they have a better relationship with technology. So thank you for having me here.
All right, so our agenda for today is we're going to talk about why kids play video games. So Hannah's going to take us through like those psychological needs that are so important for kids and oftentimes are met through the game they're playing or the activity they're doing. So how to think about that, why it's hard to stop. So we're really going to like focus in on that moment of, all right, it is time to stop playing this game and transition off of it. And the executive functioning skills required to do that and the emotional regulation skills required in that moment, which a lot of kids are going to have trouble with. So we're going to break that apart. We're going to talk about and share our game time activity path, which gets at these specific skills through and gets kids to think about these concepts in a game-based way. And then Hannah's going to bring us back to like some tips from home strategies that you can use to promote healthy gameplay routines in your home. And then all of this will come with sort of some resources, some links, some downloads to use. And Hannah's going to share about like what Healthy Gamer has to offer for parents who are looking for a little more support. Okay, Hannah, you want to talk to us about why kids play?
Yeah. So this beginning slide, why kids play video games. It may seem like a very like simple question, right? But if we flip this question on its head a little bit and ask like, oh, okay, you may think, why do kids play games? It might be because they're bored, because it's fun. They're very like surface level things. But we flip the question and think about what makes kids play these games. We get to sort of the psychological needs that these games provide for children and anyone else who plays games, regardless of age. All right, so the first one I want to go over is the need for achievement and mastery. So that's represented by the child on the tower with the sword, right? And discussing a little bit more about how achievement motivation drives gameplay, right? So in the games, there's in-game challenges, progress markers, right? There's problem solving, and allows them to make the most efficient like decision making to achieve the goal of the game, to master it. So an example of this is maybe Fortnite, right? It's that they have all these little tools they want to build. They want to be number one. There's also a competitive aspect to this. So all of these things kind of drive children to play games, and the importance of learning their psychological needs and why we want to understand them is that we can, once we understand their needs, we can add in different activities that also supplement where these games are helping them with, right? So if they like to be competitive, right, in the game, do we want to supplement that with another activity like sports, like soccer or basketball? Okay. So moving on to the next one. The second one I want to talk about is the need for social connection. So it's represented by the group of people kind of sitting around and talking, right? Games allow children to foster a sense of community, right? There's games with like teamwork and cooperation. Examples of these can include MMORPGs, like mass multiplayer games, mobile games. An example would be like, once again, Fortnite if they want to play with friends, World of Warcraft, Minecraft to play with friends, Animal Crossing. Kind of, it gives children a sense of community with social interaction. Okay. The next one I want to go over is the need for escapism or stress relief. Right, so this allows children to temporarily disconnect from real life stressors and kind of immerse themselves in a virtual world. And a common analogy would be like if you open up a book, it allows you to like delve into, say, the world of Harry Potter, right? And it gives you kind of like this temporary relief, and you get to explore this whole other universe that's not like within real life, and it opens up their imagination, right? And I want to make an important distinction here between like healthy versus like unhealthy gaming behaviors, right? When they use this as a coping mechanism, it may be excessive, right? And they may be, for example, escaping from something that's difficult, right? And the game allows them that reprieve. For example, if someone's getting bullied in school, and in the game, they can be whoever they want, and they get away from all that stress. And so it just kind of shows the importance of like communication and speaking with your child. The next one is represented by the person with the map, is the need for autonomy and control, right? So in the game, I kind of alluded to before, it gives children the empowerment through decision making in gaming, right? So they get to choose their narrative, they get to choose the outcome, letting them control the scenario, right? So there's a freedom and choice in games that it's really beautiful for them to explore. Examples of this could include Legend of Zelda, like those Zelda games. It can include collectible card games, turn-based strategy games where they learn a system, master the system. It gives them a sense of progress. Yeah, I think that's all about that one. And the last one I want to go over was the need for creativity and self-expression. So that's represented by this little picture of the mountains and like a beautiful landscape. So in games, they allow children to express themselves creatively, right? An example of this would be like Minecraft, where they can build complicated structures. It's an open sandbox game that allows them to go and explore and learn new things, right? So in learning the psychological needs of children, right, when you ask your child if they are a Minecrafter, like what about the game do you like about it, right? One Minecrafter would say, I love exploring, right? Okay, so maybe we can supplement that with going out in nature, doing a hike. Another child may say, oh, I love fighting monsters, things like that. I love like shooting, defeating monsters with my arrow and bow. Okay, maybe they love to try archery. But other children may love collecting things, right? So like think of like Pokemon cards. And so in learning what psychological needs that are met within the game, we can supplement those with other healthy behaviors outside of gaming.
And I love that the idea of it supplementing, because I think that something that's so important here, and like we see this a lot with my younger kids, like the pieces of like, oh, I see why that sort of game is so meaningful for them. Because a lot of times for kids who maybe struggle with something emotionally or in like a social situation, there are a lot of elements that might just feel really hard or not necessarily in their control. And so there are a lot of just like really important elements that games might be providing to them. And then to figure out what that is, okay, like this type of game is hitting on this need that you have, and not replacing that, not taking that game away from them, right? But the idea of like, okay, how do I use that information and supplement that so that we meet more of that need in your life in other ways. I really like that framing a lot. And then you are also, we'll get to this at the end, I know, but there's a lot of information like packed into this. And I know this is one of the resources that like parents can access eventually, like through some of the resources Healthy Gamer has to offer as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be sharing that later on.
Okay, cool. I won't jump ahead. Okay, great. So now I'm going to talk about why it's hard to stop, because I think a lot of kids, I'm going to get into specific executive functioning skills that are really important when it comes to, all right, it is time to stop our video game play. It is time to transition to something else. And the short answer here is there's a lot of executive functioning skills involved in that process and involved in regulating and managing your emotions. And we know that kids in general are still developing all of these executive functioning skills. And there are going to be certain kids who have additional trouble with some of these skills, right? So all of this to say, in short, that it makes sense that it's really hard. But I'm going to go through them because when we get to the skill pack activities, this is how we build our activities. We hone in on like the skill of impulse control, and we want you to play with impulse control in the activity we made. So it'll make a bit more sense when we get to the next slide. But let's just talk through that process of why it is really hard to stop playing a video game. So first, there's the moment on this left side that, it is time to stop. And I think families like signal that in different ways. It might be that like the timer goes off, or you have 10 more minutes, or, you're going to get to the next round, the next level, you're going to accomplish the next thing. And then it's time to stop. Or it might be time to stop because your body needs you to stop. You're hungry, you have to go to the bathroom, you're really frustrated, and it makes sense that it's time to stop playing right now, right? So there might be many reasons why it is time to stop, but knowing it's time to stop requires a few things of kids. It requires something from their working memory, right? It requires them to sort of like hold that information of, when that timer goes off, when I get to the next level, when I get this cue from my body, it's time to stop and transition to something else, right? You have to hold that information in your brain while you're also engaging with something else, right? While your attention is fully focused on the game you're playing, right? So that requires that's a function of your working memory, and asking a lot there. Time management, which we just know in general can be really hard, especially when your attention is held by something else. And when it's like this element of predicting time. I'm going to go through one more round because I think I could do that in the 10 minutes my mom just gave me. But really then all these other things come up and I can't get through that next round in 10 minutes. And so now it's time to stop because 10 minutes are up, but my endpoint was the next round, right? So like thinking about time management in that sort of way. And then the self-awareness piece. So getting back to those signals from your body that we know a lot of kids struggle with, those cues, like I'm frustrated, I'm hungry, I have to go to the bathroom, like things like that we know actually are harder for kids to pay attention to while their attention is so focused on something else. So then press pause. This is asking for two things. It's asking for impulse control and it's asking for task initiation. So like impulse control being every part of me wants to keep playing this game. Like I'm driven there, my motivation is there, my interest is there, and I have to pull it back. I have to stop that train, right, from moving in that direction. And I have to take the action of like pressing pause, right? So it's kind of like two pieces there that are pretty challenging for a lot of kids. And then the actual transition, which comes with some elements ideally of like planning and organization. Again, task initiation, like get yourself to like start doing the next thing. Some cognitive flexibility and attentional control, which again, really challenging for a lot of kids. As for kids in general, but especially for kids with ADHD, right? Like your attention is really pulled and driven by things that feel interesting and rewarding. And like that is totally natural. And to have so it makes it extra difficult to pull your attention away from that and shift it and hold it on to something else. I'm going to also call out the moment of, but I don't want to stop. Like, I'm having a lot of fun and I don't want to stop. Or I'm really frustrated with this moment of stopping. Now we're talking about emotional regulation, which is a skill in itself, but like has a number of executive functioning skills baked into it. That ability to recognize how you feel, so emotional awareness, control your desire to how you feel like reacting, how your body impulsively like wants to react in that moment. Again, attentional control, like pull your attention away from the thing that is emotionally charged for you. Problem solving, ability to calm down, remembering how to calm down. Like, there's a lot baked into that moment as well. So long story, that moment of pausing is really challenging. But now let's talk about the skill pack, because this Mightier itself, right? The biofeedback video game is totally focused on emotional regulation, right? Like, your child is practicing bringing their heart rate down again and again and again. As they play, they are building that skill. They are internalizing that ability. They're building that muscle memory. So that part is really coming together there. This skill pack, which we will send out afterwards, is picking at a number of the other pieces. So if you've seen a skill pack before from us, you know that we have like a certain format. We have sort of like this kid-friendly introduction to the concept, to the theme. We're wrapping each theme in a metaphor, so it's easier for kids to like engage with, have fun with, and understand. There's a lavaling story, the lavaling, in this case, like, you'll be able to see the lavaling is like struggling with this specific thing, but then how they use the skills in the skill pack to work with that. And then we have a number of like small challenges and then like a larger main activity that is usually a game. And this one, it is a game. So, and also if you've done these before, like, they are very family centered. These are meant to be done like you and your child doing this collaboratively, you are partners in this. Even if you know the information, like, these are set up so that you are not the teacher, like, you and your child are learning this together, because that is really empowering and meaningful for kids. So that's how these are set up. Now, the game time badge, and again, if you're a Mightier family, like this comes with an unlock code where your child is gonna, plugs in the connect code within their Mightier app, and they unlock this costume for their avatar. So a little like connection there to their gameplay. But we're working with the metaphor basically of your energy meter, your charge bar. And I'm just going to call out this line from the introduction. When you play a video game, the energy bar on screen isn't the only one that matters. How often have you started a game at full charge and ended up on empty? So trying to call kids' attention to the fact that, when you're playing a game, you're so focused on the game, but you matter too. Your body matters, your emotional state matters, your physical needs matter. And it's really, even though it's hard, it's really important to pay attention to that as you play, because that's what's going to set you up for success, especially success in that moment when it's time to transition off the game. But like, basically, don't forget about yourself and pay attention to yourself as you play. The lavaling story here, we're using our lavaling Stellatic, whose strengths are quick thinking and hand-eye coordination, but struggles with like calling it quits and pressing pause. Stellatic's little saying is, I don't age, I level up. And the story here really gets at that self-awareness piece, and Stellatic needing to pay attention to their physical and emotional state as they play. So hopefully, as your child reads that, they can like see all those pieces coming through, like that will start to make sense to that concept will make sense. And now the activities here are getting at a few different things. So in the top left corner, we have our character creator. So this is basically honoring the fact that like video games are important to kids and like they play for a reason. And so we're bringing in, like, trying to bring in that psychological element, and like there's that psychological need that's being met. This is a drawing and writing activity. So the framing is, game characters are created and designed to meet the unique challenges of the game they're in. So imagine you're a game character in your real life. Like, what do you need? Like, what are your power-ups? What are the obstacles you're facing? What are like your special abilities? What are your strengths? Like, how would you design that character? What would you equip it with? So this really gets at like representation and self-expression and self-awareness. Asking kids to really think about themselves in relation to their life. The one below this is the what it takes timer. This gets at how it's hard to predict time all the time because things come up that we don't always account for. So the challenges we give kids a challenge, something a movement-based thing that, it's going to ask you to go do something. You can do this in your home and you guess how long it will actually take you to complete this task. And then you're going to time it and like, what was the actual time it took? So the challenges are like, find 10 things that start with the letter A, open and close every door in your house. You might have a guess at how long it'll take you to do that. But then once you start, you might realize, wow, there are fewer things that start with the letter A than I thought. Or, oh, I didn't think about like the doors to my cabinets. And now I have to go count all those. And like, I have to go run back to all those rooms, right? So like the guess and the actual might be different. And it just kind of calls out that when we get to like, you have 10 more minutes to play, how do we think about those 10 minutes? Like what can go into those 10 minutes? Because sometimes it's not everything that we thought. So let's just think about time in that way. And then this last piece is our Battery Blitz board game. So the way this works is you can have a number of people play this at a time, and you're like moving around this board. And you could do 1 lap, you could do 2 laps, whatever you set the end goal to. The point of this game is that we are asking kids to practice impulse control as they play. So there are spaces on this board that are like speed ramps, basically. They move you forward faster, but they deplete your energy. They deplete like your charge. And if you run out of charge, you are going to get stalled out, basically. So you can anticipate that like, if you take that approach and you're like, I'm going to win, and you take those steps to win because you're trying to move faster, you actually are not going to win. You're going to get like stalled out. You're not going to be able to go. So the way to actually win this game is you have to take the slow route. You have to practice impulse control. You have to pay attention to your charge as you play. So it's kind of balancing the like practice impulse control and hopefully help convey that message again that you need to pay attention to your charge as you're moving through. Yeah, so these are the activities in this skill pack that we're going to send out at the end. Okay, and Hannah's going to share some tips for home as well.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about some ways you can promote healthy gaming and like technology habits in your household. So the first one here, I want to ask, who here brings their phone to the bathroom? If you do this, the number one here is lead by example, right? So we have a very, very intimate relationship with technology, and even bringing our phone to the bathroom kind of shows us how difficult it is being bored, right? When children are bored, they want to go do stuff, right? Like play games that are fun and exciting, right? So leading by example is like the number one thing that you can do, right? Because the only person you can really control is yourself, right? So we want to model healthy screen habits. So pay attention to your own technology habits. Like if you're on the phone all day, if you're on the computer all day, watching TV, that kind of stuff, they're going to also internalize that, right? So this is very like a concrete thing that you can do as a parent. The second thing I want to talk about is cultivating open communication, right? So when we talked about the psychological needs that children are getting from video games, like the only way you'll really be able to know what needs are being met is that you open up the conversation and having that understanding of what they love about the game, what the game means to them, right? Do they love, connecting with all their friends on the Roblox, right? Because maybe their friends are all over the city or across state lines, right? But this allows them to like talk to each other and like hang out in this virtual world, right? And how devastating that would be for you to rip it out of their hands, like losing all their friends. right? And offering like new ways for them to make new friends. Like, do they want to join a Boys and Girls Club, something like that, or a new sports endeavor, right? Where they can meet new friends and teammates, right? The third thing is discover new interests, right? Kind of leading into that is that we want to supplement whatever psychological needs they're getting from the game with new things, right? So go exploring if they love learning new things, right? Like sports, art, music, art, and things like that, right? If they love like skills building through games, like, although I love learning this new game because it's very, very complicated, right? Do they want to do something crazy like a coding workshop, that sort of stuff, right? Number 4 is setting limits and fostering responsibility, right? So one of the things we really help people with at Healthy Gamer is setting healthy boundaries with gaming and how difficult it is reinforcing those boundaries, right? And letting your child have a sense of responsibility over the gaming as well, right? So if they're playing on their iPad, what that can look like is, okay, I want to make sure that you are well rested and go to sleep on time before bed so you can go to school refreshed, right? And having them understand that it is also their responsibility to get rest before the new day, right? So I can give you an hour's worth of iPad time, and then we got to read together, do all the bedtime routine, and go to sleep, right? But what is the boundary and expectations around that? Okay, like we can have an hour of iPad gaming, but if you want to go over an hour of gaming, then there's a consequence. So tomorrow you only get half an hour if you go over today, right? And reinforcing that so that they understand that their limits have consequences. If not, they will keep pushing and then it's not really a boundary if it gets broken, right? And that responsibility as well, giving them that sense of this is important for you. Like, I want you to have fun and play, but we have other responsibilities, chores that need to be done. And this is why it's important, right? So that gives them a sense of ownership and accountability. And the last one I want to go over is being supportive, right? So recognizing that you're on the same team and recognizing when their child's efforts they're doing a great job so that you can work together and in having a healthy play routine. Oh,
Sorry, I
and
jumped you right into the next one.
yeah, so additional resources from Healthy Gamer is we have a book that was written by the president and co-founder of Healthy Gamer, Dr. Ala Kanoja, who is a Harvard-trained psychiatrist. In this book, we go over a roadmap for developing healthy game boundaries, dealing with resistance and mood shifts, communication strategies, the neuroscience behind video games, and we also touch upon neurodiversity. If you pre-order the book before March 12th, we'll also send you, you see a little preview in the corner there of our Understanding Your Gamer Matrix. And it has a list of the different types of personas that, personas of children that play video games, like if they're in it for thrill seeking, mastery, in the slides that I talked about previously, and healthy alternatives with the game that they're playing.
That's awesome. And we'll make sure to share this link at the bottom out to everyone if you would like to check out the book. Hannah, do you also want to talk a little bit about the other resources that Healthy Gamer has to offer for families?
Sure.
Just because you have so much.
Yeah, so at Healthy Gamer, we've helped hundreds of parents in group and one-on-one settings go through, what is it like, we have like a curriculum course on how to be on video games. Sorry, I'm fumbling a little bit, but we have a parent course on understanding your gamer, right? That kind of goes over in depth, kind of the same concepts in the book as well. So we have our parent course, and we also have parent coaching, right? So that's more on a one-on-one or group basis, and that's very it's geared towards working through a lot of resistance that parents face through video games. and it's very specific to your unique situation. So those are the three things we have for our parent resources right now. We have our Healthy Gamer book, we have our parent course available online, and then we have parent coaching as well.
Awesome. Okay, that's wonderful. And I'm so glad we got to do this together. That is, if anyone has questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, or you're welcome. I'll just go to this next very basic slide. You are welcome to email me directly if you have questions that you think of later, or if you have requests for future workshop topics. Again, we try to do one of these a month. And after this, I'm going to share out all of the resources that we've put together in this collaboration between My Dear and Healthy Gamer. And hopefully, then you can use those activities with your kids, and then like utilize those tips and strategies at home. So thank you so much for joining. Hannah, thank you so much for talking through all this with us and bringing Healthy Gamers expertise on this topic to our families.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much. I don't see any questions coming through, so I'm gonna, that's it. Thank you all for joining.
Bye, everyone.